Our second one was horrible when he was a baby. When he was about, I would say when he got to about 2 years old was when things started calming down. We couldn't go anywhere for 2 years. It was terrible, man.
Oh man. Yeah, her the older sister, Brooklyn, she's tough and she's always busy doing projects. And if she's like whining or complaining, it's just because she's trying to manipulate me. So I'm like, no whining. But this little one, she's a softie, and she always wants to be like cuddling people and looking straight into their eyes, and that's not her sister. Her sister's got things to do.
That's good. That's the moneymaker right there. That's the one that's going to take care of you when you get older.
Yeah, we got the little worker, and we got the little affectionate one. So I got the bases covered. Now it's time for a boy.
Yeah, I got two boys myself. My wife, she said she wanted a daughter. I'm done. I'm done after. Like I said, our second one, like our first kid was super easy when he was a baby. Of course, when they get older, they're a pain in the butt. But Graham, oh my God, he was the we call him the birth control kid.
I know what you're talking about. Not that they're bad, just that they're hard.
Oh, big time. I mean, he's cool now, but like I said, up we couldn't go anywhere for the first 2 years of his life. We put him down, and like anytime we went in the car, it was just a scream fest. We couldn't go to the restaurant. We couldn't do nothing for 2 years. It was brutal, man.
I know what that feels like, and I could talk to you more about raising a couple of kids, but well, let's get the interview started, and then we'll see where we go.
Let's do
So
this.
this is gonna be super casual. We're just having a chat about who you are as a person, and I've noticed from your videos that you're really open about yourself, but you tend to focus on the gameplay because your thing is that you generally make uh, live gameplay videos. So people get to see exactly what you feel about everything that happens in your matches.
Correct. For better or worse, I like to say. But I don't know. War Thunder in general has been kind of bugging me lately, especially with the top tier meta. It is horrible, in my opinion.
I
Um,
completely agree. Top tier is a shit show right now, and you just got to play something else for a while. There's a lot of other vehicles
exactly.
to play.
Well, exactly. That's exactly why I've been focusing on the lower tier stuff. I'm actually in the middle of making a video right now of the Panzer 4F2, just getting the intro portion of it done.
You know, something that I've noticed about your channel, and maybe you could explain why. I usually don't talk about your channel very much because I want to focus on who you are as a person, but I got you here, so I got to ask you. You have, what is it, around 800 subs, and yet your videos are hitting upwards of around 200, around 400 views for some of these videos. That's an incredible amount of engagement. Why is everybody
Right.
watching your videos, man? Why are you so fun to watch?
Well, I don't know exactly what I hit with viewer engagement because not only that, I mean, yeah, my views for the low number of subscribers that I have to the channel are, about half and half. I hit around 400, 300 or so views on the channel or each video. But I think where it comes from is that the people that are subscribed to the channel are actually engaged in the comments as well, and they have conversations with themselves, which is huge. And I think that's what pushes the YouTube algorithm, and it gets my notifications out there. Uh, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm grateful for the people that are currently subbed to the channel.
Yeah, as a fellow YouTuber, I'm very impressed. That amount of engagement on your videos is not common. So let's talk about you. You
All
mentioned
right.
that you have a couple of boys, But let's rewind a bit. It's rewind time. So, you were born, and then things happened. Tell me about that.
I was born in Marinette, Wisconsin. Came from pretty much two broken families. My mother divorced my biological father. We moved to Illinois, the Chicagoland area, and she met my stepfather. Things weren't really great there. That's pretty much where I uh, learned what not to do as a parent from my stepfather. But after that, everything started getting really good. We moved to Aurora, went to West Aurora High School, played some football, did some other things. 9/11 happened. That was the big one. I was actually going to join the military just after that started, and I don't know, nerves kind of hit you. You don't know exactly what you want to do at that age. I was fairly young, but it was about well, it was 2003 when I actually joined the military, and oh man, that's the big life lesson. That's where I learned who I was and how far I could push myself and become the person that I am today. I owe everything to the military, everything.
So, how long did you serve? What branch did you join? Tell me something
Uh,
about that.
I was United States Army infantry. I will say this as advice to anyone that's wanting to join the military: don't go infantry, if anything. I mean,
I was about to say the same thing.
don't. Yeah, it was a great experience. I mean, the people that I served with were some of the greatest people that I ever met in my life. They were fantastic group of people. They pretty much become your family. But yeah, the infantry life when you the training, everything up until actually putting it into practice is good, but the actual practice of the job, going to Iraq, yeah, that was horrible. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. War is shitty.
You heard it from Bumzilla. I completely agree. And well, that seems like a pretty good way to sum that up. So you came home and tell me about that.
Yeah, came home, uh, was I did not take a break. I immediately got into the security field. Started doing work for a company, Whack and Hut, but moved out of that, and now I'm in the nuclear industry. So um, I can say some things about that. It's definitely interesting. Making the switch from military life to civilian life is one hell of a it's a culture shock. Um, Things are definitely done different. Like I said, I don't know how to explain it exactly, but when you make a switch from the military to the civilian life, you completely forget about who you were prior to you join the military, and then all of a sudden you're slammed back into it again, back into the regular world where there are different rules, uh, different personalities that you have to mesh with, and yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know exactly. Making a change like that was huge for me, but made it through. Made it through.
So would you say that in the military, a lot of decisions were made for you?
No, negative. That's the biggest difference. Right now, I would say that I had more freedom of choice, freedom of decision making when I was in the military. Absolutely. It,
Interesting.
well, it's where I'm working at basically. You're in the military, you were free to make the decisions that you needed to make to get the job done. In the civilian world, there's a lot of things that you have to put in mind, like procedure wise, and you know, you, mistakes are kind of looked at as not a good thing sometimes. In the military, mistakes were important. You learn from those mistakes. Um, and I don't understand the mindset, the corporate mindset. You
Oh,
know,
I know exactly what you're talking about, and from that perspective, that makes a lot of sense. Working for any kind of corporation, I'd say they're all evil corporations. There's no good corporations, but but um, and that's, I'm not trying to riff on corporations, but it's just the way that they're built is not, the employees don't matter, the customers don't matter, the corporation matters. And what is the corporation? It's just a group of people that have decided to make money by doing something. So the rules get crazy because they're not good for the customers, they're not good for the employees, they're just good for the bottom line. But that's a corporation. That's their mission, right? And then with the military, the mission is to complete the mission, whatever mission the military is given. And so it
well,
makes a lot more sense what you're given to do and what you're allowed to do and told to do.
that's the biggest thing though, is that, like I said before, mistakes are a given. Murphy's law. You know, you could have the best laid plans. There's something that's going to go wrong, regardless of any amount of planning that you put into it. There are things that are going to go wrong. And when those things go wrong, you need to be able to adapt to them and learn from those prior past mistakes that the unit has made or that the individual has made. And then you can push forward and actually figure out the problem and have a successful outcome. That was the biggest push from our unit, was, cross pollination. So you would know the man's job to your left and you know the man's job to the right. And if things went awry, that person to the left or to the right would pick it up and you would carry on, continue, push forward. It just doesn't work like that in the civilian world, or corporate world, I should say. They look at mistakes as, oh no, this is another impending lawsuit, or you know, performance is trending in X, whatever direction, in a downward trend. We need to, figure out. It's all backwards. It's all backwards to me.
That makes a lot of sense, and I have listened to a guy called Chuck Missler on my Bible studies, and not to bring that up here, but Chuck is a guy who lived in the corporate world in decades past, and also was in, what was it, Air Force, I think, for a long time, for ages, and very involved in both worlds. And he said that the corporate culture in America used to be like what you see in the military, where they have a mission, they look after their people. In the corporate world, they used to believe in honesty, accountability,
Yeah.
reliability, and we live in a world right now in the United States where the corporate culture is exploitation, exploitation, cover your ass,
Yep.
and that it sucks. And that's one of the reasons I promised myself I would never work for a corporation again. I've worked for, I think, 3 different corps, and they just can't help it. The entire culture is just to be the shittiest person you could possibly be. If it was a person, if the corporation was a person, you would never be friends with that person. You could never trust them. You would hate their guts, and it doesn't have to be that way, but that's the way things are right now. Anyway, I'm glad
Well,
you brought that up, but let's move on. You've been working. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, see, that's the biggest thing, though. I don't know. Maybe it's one of my biggest faults, but I always feel like I can bring change to whatever situation that I step into. I'm right now currently working on trying to get a promotion within the corporation. So, hopefully, I could take the mindset that I have and push forward with a more centric view of the employee, the worker, and elevate everyone else that's below me. That's how I did it when I was in the military. I elevated the guys that were below me. Anyone who ever or who got to our unit, I always I always took them to the side and ran over FMs, ran over our urban operations, gone through battle drills, all that other stuff. I've always been that way. I've always wanted to try and elevate people or assist people in some way. That and maybe that's my biggest downfall. I don't know, but that's just who I am.
You
Always
know,
helping somebody.
you know, you've already proved that. You've helped me out, man. And that's something that you and the European Canadian have in common. You've both talked about that, and I've seen proof of it. And I said that there's not really anything you can do about corporate culture, and that's not true. That's just sort of the mindset I take. Is if it's way bigger than me, I'm not going to focus on it. I'm going to look at what's right in front of me, which is people. And that's what you're doing. You're fighting the good fight. You're making change happen by what you do with your life, and even in a bad situation,
That's
it's worth it.
yep. It is always worth it.
So tell me about your wife. You're married. You have kids. How do you meet?
We met in Germany actually when I was stationed over there. The first time she ever met, I was a bit of a lunatic too when I was in the army. I ain't gonna play or sugarcoat anything. I was a lunatic. On my downtime, I was the worst rear echelon soldier you could ever ask for. The worst. I was drunk all the time. I was doing something I shouldn't be doing all the time. I was I was just a lunatic. And the first time my wife met me, I was standing. So we had this parade field, and I was standing on top of the gazebo. There was this gazebo out in the. I shouldn't say it was a parade field. It's our PT field, and we had a gazebo that was out in the middle of that PT field. And we used to have parties and stuff out there. And this was one of those times we had. It was one of these crazy parties, mid-afternoon parties that we started up, and I'm standing on top of the gazebo with a Zippo lighter, burning my armpit hair. I don't know why I was. I was up there, but I remember looking at her. She was sitting on We had these like aluminum bleachers too that were out there.
Uh-huh.
She was sitting on the top of the bleachers, just looking at me with the most disgust I think anyone's ever ever looked at me. And I jumped off that gazebo. Uh, it was a crazy day. But yeah, that was the first time we ever met.
I love that story. It's so romantic. For some dumbass reason, I was burning my armpit hair off on top of a gazebo, and your mother,
Hey,
kids, looked at me with that look that she gives to you.
but I tell you what, I had a crowd. Everyone was enjoying the show, and yeah,
This is what happens with military guys. The mix of boredom and just nothing better to do, and weird stuff happens. you should uh, you should talk with Shadow sometime. He's on the Discord server here and there, and he has some stories.
oh man, military stories are the greatest. They're the greatest. It's almost like a frat party on steroids,
Uh huh.
24/7.
Yeah, my older brother served in the National Guard, and my younger brother served as well and was deployed to Iraq. And his favorite story is just a stupid like high school locker room that just never ends.
Never ends. There's always something interesting happening around the corner.
Well, were you thinking of a story when you said that?
Oh, man, I got so many. Like I said, I was possibly one of the worst rear echelon soldiers you can ever ask for, and I so there's this town. All right, a lot of people look at me cross-eyed when I tell some of my stories. They're like, "Are you serious?" But yeah, there is this town in Germany called Rudesheim. It's like the wine capital of Germany. The whole town is built on the side of this freaking mountain. It's really neat looking. The Rhine River runs right to the west of it. And then on, on the other side of the city is this, or the other side of the river, there's this place called Bingen. I won't get into that because that was a big mess that happened over there. But I wound up getting my butt arrested in Rudesheim, and you wouldn't think it. Like I said, it's the wine cap. People go there. Tourists go there. They have a good time. It's not a place that you would think is rambunctious or filled with idiots. But when I showed up there, yeah, there was three idiots there. It was myself, my buddy Book, and Chavez, and we got a little drunk on wine. I Now here's the thing. I wasn't super drunk. I was lucid through the whole thing. Like I remember everything that took place. It was start. We were getting ready to leave actually, and Chavez and Book were both pretty trashed. We're walking down the street, we're getting ready to turn right down this down the main street to the train station. My buddy Chavez, out of nowhere, kicks over a cement cement flower pot. It was just like an old cement flower pot. Uh oh, I lose power. You there?
Yeah, I hear you. Keep
Oh,
going.
okay. No, my screen went black on me. Anyways, kicks over this cement flower pot in front of this bar, breaks it. I was like, "Gosh, dang it, Chavez!" He's sitting there laughing. I'm like, "You're an idiot, man." And there was already a small crowd that was out in front of this bar. I'm looking around. The bar owner comes flying out, yelling at us in German. I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Calm down, man, calm down." I'm like, English, English. Do you speak English? He goes, "Yeah, yeah. You break my vase." I'm like, "No, I didn't break it, but yeah, how much for the vase?" He goes, €80. I'm like, €80 for that piece of crap? I'm like, no.
He charged you 4 times what it was worth because he was pissed at you.
I'm like, no, man, I'm not paying €80 for that. And the guy's like, you'll pay me €80. And he gets right in my face. And Chavez and Book are both off to the backside of me, just laughing. I'm like, this is starting to get heated, you know? Now we start getting a crowd going around us. I'm going back and forth with this bar owner, trying to calm him down, trying to, talk him down too, because I'm not paying €80 for this stupid freaking vase. Finally, I'm like, you know what? Forget it. I don't care. Reached back into my back pocket, and next thing I know, I got somebody grabbing me from behind. And I hear Book yelling to my left, "Get him! Get him!" I'm like, oh no, here we go. And I turn around, and there's this big, giant. He must have been in his 40s, 50 years old. I like turn and look at him, and next thing I know, I get hit 3 times with these leathery freaking. It felt like old boxer hands, man. This dude rocked me 3 times. I staggered back. And the last thing I fully remember from that point, because usually whenever I get in altercations like that, I kind of black out for a second, I was laughing as I was staggering backwards.
Oh,
And
it
then,
feels good to get properly knocked out. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
but next thing I know, I'm standing over this guy with Book yelling at me to hit him again. I'm looking down and I see that the guy's just tore up. I'm like, what the heck
Oh
just happened?
man.
Like, I'm like, what just happened? And I let him go, and I turn and look. The bar owner. I hear Book yelling. That's what snapped me out of it. I think Book was
Yeah.
yelling, hit him, hit him, hit him. And I turn and look. The bar owner jumps on top of Book, and Book. This is I think the craziest thing that had happened to me while I was over there. I mean, I've seen some really messed up stuff in Germany, but this one, I think I saved Book and all of us from being accessory to murder. Friggin' Book pulls out his knife. He had just bought that knife that morning. Pulls his
Oh
knife out
man.
and gets ready to stab the guy right in the side of his temple. I jump on top of him, and grab Book's hand, and I look at the bar owner. Bar owner's eyes are like the size of saucer plates, you know. I'm like, get off him now, get off him. And Book's like holding on to the knife, still trying to get it up to him. You know, I'm like, Book, let go of the knife right now. And finally, he let go of the knife. I pushed the bar owner off. I grabbed Book, and we take off running. I thought Chavez was right behind me. I took that knife because the Rhine River was right there on the road. I chucked that thing into the river. I'm like, Book, that was the dumbest thing I think I've ever seen you do the entire time I've known you. And he's just like, whatever, you know. And we start going toward the train station. Book hangs a right, goes up. This is where it gets really stupid. Hangs a right and goes up the hill. I'm like, where are you going? He's like, oh, let's go find a hotel or something to stay at. I'm like, no, we need to get the hell out of here. We need to leave. Like, get out of Rudesheim as fast as possible. So, anyways, I follow him for a little bit. Realize Chavez is nowhere near me. We're trying to scale this wall. I remember we scaled, like, I think this was like 4-foot wall to go up to another street. Went over the top of it, and I turn and look back, and there's no one there. Chavez isn't anywhere to be seen. I'm like, great, we just left Chavez in that mess that we created back there. So I go to step down, not remembering that we'd scaled a freaking wall, pretty much. Go to step back down, and bam, land right on my face. I like fell smacked right on my face. Oh, I laid there for a couple minutes. I'm like, oh my God, this is the worst freaking night of my life. Book is laughing at me. I'm like, Book, shut up, man. Get your butt over to the freaking train station right now. I'm going to go find Chavez. Went down the road, grabbed Chavez, who was standing still with that guy that I'd beat to a pulp, telling him that they got good hospitals in Germany.
Oh
I'm
man!
like, I'm like,
Don't tell Mom.
I'm like, Chavez, we gotta go right now. Like, we gotta go. The Polizei sirens are, you could hear them off in the distance. I grab Chavez. We take off running back down to the train station. We finally get in there. We're looking at all this stuff, trying to figure out when the next train shows up. And that's when the Polizei showed up. But the funny part is, so when we were in there was a U.S. Military personnel in there. He was in the Air Force on R&R, I believe it was. I can't remember exactly. But he's like, are you the guys that the Polizei are looking for? I'm like, yeah, we're the only Americans here, so yeah. they're like, all right, hold on a second. I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna talk to the Polizei and see if I can't, hold them off for a little bit till the train shows up. I'm like, that would be huge if you could do that. And he goes out there, and we're looking. We finally find our train that is supposed to be there in the next 10 minutes. I'm like, there's no way he's going to be able to stall this guy for 10 minutes or stall the Polizei for 10 minutes. He comes walking back in, not even 30 seconds after he stepped out. He's like, yeah, guys, they're coming in right now. Go ahead and stand against that wall.
Well, he tried. At least he kept you from having more trouble with them, so they could see that you were compliant before they walked in. Because God knows, police forces get terrified when violence goes down.
Dude, I tell you what, like the entire time, this story goes on forever. Like, we got arrested, I believe it was around 9 o'clock at night, so 2100. So it went on till like 4 in the morning. This story just goes on and on and on. We could be sitting here for a while talking about this, but yeah, long story short, Bumzilla got arrested in Rudesheim, pretty much, and saved a friend of mine from going, or all of us from going to doing hard time, and saved an individual's life in the process.
Yeah. So I guess he got payback for that flower pot.
Yeah.
Jeez,
Yeah.
what a mess. But that kids don't drink and join the military. Stay sober, kids. Don't just don't. Anyway, that was a lot of people were reacting badly to that. With the language barrier too. probably hurts because that guy that started punching you probably thought you were going for a weapon or something because you were yelling at each other, and he just
That
thought he would be helpful, and he
that's
got
what I
himself
wrote in
into
my
some
sworn
trouble.
statement. Like after the whole thing was, I don't. I'm fairly certain the guy, because we were all pretty heated. I'm fairly certain that the gentleman who punched me those 3 times, God, man, it was like I said, old leathery hands just beating on you. But
You
but
can tell
yeah,
he practiced boxing instead of wrestling. He could have just grabbed you, but he made that mistake.
no charges were pressed, which I was extremely surprised about.
Yeah, this is just the reason why Germans don't like us over there.
Yeah, I know, man.
Anyway, so your life continued on from that point. Tell me more about, uh, if you'd like to, tell me about the early days with your wife. What was that like, coming back and getting married and starting a family?
Well, we got married over in Germany, actually. We got married at the courthouse in Bad Nauheim, and it was a small wedding, wasn't anything big. You know how it is, freshly married, everyone runs into problems. We've been married 11 years now, so we've had our ups and downs. My wife, she's put up with a lot of BS from me, that's for sure, though, and she's a saint for it. Love
Yep.
her to death.
Did you have all your good arguments in the first year?
Oh no, no, those were saved for the seventh year. Actually, everyone talks about the 7 year itch or whatever. That's like the hardest year to make it through, apparently. And yeah, it's true. We
Interesting.
Yeah, the D word was thrown around quite a bit around that time.
No, well, I'll look forward to that. T- Tell me more about starting a family.
Starting a family. She got pregnant before I left for Iraq, so that was I did not experience the first pregnancy at all. I was gone for the whole thing. Wasn't even allowed to come back for the birth of our first child, Adam. Um, so that was kind of rough. The first time I ever got to hear anything from him was over a satellite phone on top of a rooftop at this place we called Cop 3. Um, and I got to hear him breathe. It was one of the weirdest feelings ever, something that you help create and never actually got to didn't see him until he was about what, 4 months old, something like that. But no, 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 3 months old. That was a little rough, but definitely the first time hearing him though over the phone was one of those earth shaking moments. Even though I was in an earth shaking moment in Iraq.
Do you think that becoming a father changed your life?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. It definitely calmed me down. I'm no longer the crazy idiot that I once was. I mean, every guy is entitled to their dumb moments, and but yeah, it's definitely calmed me down quite a bit. Quite a bit.
You looking forward to your kids standing on gazebos and burning off their arm hair?
Uh, Not the older one. The older one's like my first kid. He's like super self-aware, self-preservation to the 10th degree. He doesn't do crazy stuff. The little guy, yeah, he's the one. He's the one who's going to be doing all the stupid stuff. I mean, he already is.
Isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy watching your kids grow up and seeing how they're sort of like a copy of you and your wife, but also their own person at the same way? It's just crazy how much of their personality you can see in those early years because they're not sophisticated enough to hide anything.
Right. Yep. It's definitely like you said, you see it's a mixture. Like my oldest is more like my wife in terms of carefulness, planning. that kind of stuff. But he's more like me. Oh God, I was horrible in school too. But he's like me with school. Um, when I was younger, just lazy, not wanting to do the stuff that you need to do in order to succeed. If there was hope for me, there's hope for him. So we're going through a pretty rough spot with school and him right now.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. It's hard to find motivation sometimes because it seems so pointless, but it pays off. It really does.
It
And
does. I
sometimes you just gotta
wish
beat that into him one way or another.
it doesn't work like you think. Like all the talking, all the examples. Because I don't know if I mentioned this during what we've been talking. I didn't finish school.
Oh,
I
tell me about
I
that.
I dropped out. I dropped out my junior year. I thought I was better than it all. Freaking didn't think I needed to know anything that they had to teach me. I went and got my GED like literally 2 weeks after I dropped out. Um, Took the pre-test for the GED, and the friggin' teacher that uh, was proctoring the tests brought me up to the front after all the grading was done. Pretty much chastised me. He was like, "What the hell are you doing here? You don't need any classes. You just can come in and do the test, but you shouldn't be here. Why are you here? You should finish school. If you could do these tests, you should finish school." I'm
What a
like,
cool teacher.
I was like, "Nope, I'm done. I'm done with all that."
You're ready to get started making a difference in the world.
Well, I didn't, man. Like I said, I owe everything to the military. Everything about who I am and what I've become is from the military. I got kicked out of. I was pretty much homeless for a little while. My mom had enough of my BS, and I wasn't really, I didn't mature until the military.
You know, listening to your stories and listening to you talk about who you are, I've listened to a lot of interviews with people who've served, especially during wartime, and first the impression I get is, okay, yeah, this guy's born for the infantry, poor bastard. But the second thing is, you're born for the military. I think it really was good for you,
Hmm.
and it's good that the American military is still an organization that's effective and dare I say honorable. Something that's sort of missing in a lot of organizations. It's not perfect by any means,
No.
but it's the perfect place for a lot of people, especially in their younger years.
Yeah, it definitely fixed me. That's for sure. Definitely. I mean, yeah, granted, you have your few bad eggs here and there, and I witnessed quite a few of that when I was in. Well, not quite a few, but a few examples of bad eggs. But sometimes people just can't be fixed. Sometimes they just have to hit the super rock bottom. And joining the military was pretty much my rock bottom, and then I made the best of what I had and pushed through with what you know push through to grow and make myself a better person.
That that sounds like a familiar story. So, when you were in the military, this just sort of popped into my head. Was there were there a few people that really inspired you? That
Yes,
were examples to you. Tell me about those people.
my squad leader. I called him my military dad, pretty much. Where I coined that phrase after I got out. Actually, uh, I didn't really realize at the time. Um, Foster. His name was Staff Sergeant Foster. I didn't
You're
realize
shitting me. His name
what.
was Foster,
Hmm.
and he was like a foster dad to you. Keep going.
Yeah, but he taught me everything, everything I knew about the military. He was actually in Fahrenheit 9/11. There's an interview portion, you know what movie I'm talking about, right?
I think so.
Oh man, I can't remember the name of the guy who does all these
That
documentaries.
that fat slob documentary.
Yeah, where a lot of his stuff is like super friggin' BS for the most part, but
Yeah, he has an agenda, but there's still good people in those videos, I assume.
right. Well, Foster, Staff Sergeant Foster was in that, and but anyways, to get through, he taught me everything, everything about urban operations, about uh, having respect for yourself, having respect for the unit, having respect to the man to your left and right. He taught me all of it, every last little bit, and it may not have been directly learned right there on the spot, but it was in, reflection on a lot of the things that he taught me. It was like, holy crap, he was right about a lot of this, and I'm glad I stuck with his advice.
You know, that's so awesome. As a youth pastor myself, as a kid who grew up essentially without a dad, uh, I've had all kinds of things take the place of my missing dad in my life, and you don't really think about it when you're growing up, but you look back and you're just like, wow, uh, I needed to have that person there at that time, and you're so grateful. Father's Day is coming up this Sunday,
Right.
and I mean, honestly, I'm more grateful. I shouldn't say this, but I'm more grateful to the men who were fathers in my life than for anything my mom ever taught me. And she taught me all kinds of good stuff, and also what not to do. But there's just something about men, I think, that we need to have an example of a mature and powerful man to teach us how to live. What do you agree with that?
Absolutely 100%. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
So that makes you really feel like you're somebody special as a father, doesn't it?
Right. And it also, there's a lot of pressure on you too. You got to be that example. And the second, but the biggest part is that you shouldn't be fully afraid of it either, because mistakes are a given, like I said before. And if you can show examples of, when you yourself make a mistake, you got to be able to own it, and show that you can correct it. That's the biggest. I think that's the biggest lesson.
You know,
Own your mistake.
here I was thinking that we were going to hear stories about burning off arm hair and almost getting locked up for life in Germany, and you ended up teaching us some really cool life lessons and showing that. Now, I've watched a good number of your videos lately, but I haven't seen how you connect with your community because I'm so I got a lot of things that I'm doing. Youth pastor, running a couple of channels, running my own Discord. These interviews, which are like my favorite thing to do. If
I love your
anyway,
interviews, by the way. They're great.
dude, get in line. I'm my biggest fan when it comes to this. They're so fun. But tell me a little bit about how, and this isn't one of the normal questions at all, but how do you interact with your community? Do you feel like you're an example there to people?
Um, it's kind of difficult over the internet to be an example. But I like to try and always push a positive message, or push. Yeah, we're here. Here's the thing. Like, I have ranty videos from time to time, and I can be negative about certain things. But I always try to understand the other person's point of view and perspective, and I never really want to, shit on anyone's opinions or anything like that. If your opinion's your opinion, and if it's a well thought out opinion, then it's your right. You should be able to, allowed to have that opinion. So I never try and crap on anyone unless they're trying to shit on me. Um, I want to try and always be positive with anyone who interacts with the channel as much as possible.
That sounds like what I've seen from your videos. And one of the things that I noticed right about you, which is something that I really respect And I'm not saying that it's generally lacking, but maybe I am. It's nice to see someone who's so honest. And when you're pissed off, you actually share. You don't try and hide it. You talk about what you're feeling and why. And honestly, I think that the world could do with more of that, being open about what you're feeling, about who you are, about what you're thinking and what you're doing, and stop trying to put your best foot forward. It's sort of a social media thing, especially with YouTubers of all sizes and people on Facebook and all the things where you're showing off your life to people. There's this temptation to cover everything in makeup,
And
to
make everything look
polish
happy.
everything. And uh, there are beautiful moments in life, and there are ugly moments in life.
Right.
There's a time where you wake up in the morning and you've got soggy poop and blood on the toilet paper, and maybe you don't share that with everybody, but if shit happens spontaneously in your life, then it's just really cool to be able to share that with people, right?
Right.
You know that they're your friends when, again, you can talk about your hemorrhoids with them. And I think that's one of my favorite things about growing up. I'm what, like 32 now, is that you get older and you're just like, hey, you know what really sucks, and you just talk about it, and it's not like you can share the high and the low and everything in between with people, and you don't bring people down. You actually bring them up just
Right.
by being honest and straightforward with them. And it's almost like a feeling of being part of a team or a family when people
Exactly.
can be so open and real.
Yep. And like you said, that you're not there to tear someone down. You're there to build them up, and let them know that there's somebody here to listen. So that's that's huge.
I feel like I'm doing most of the talking now, but that's something I noticed about you, and it's refreshing. I think that's a real treasure. We've been talking for a while. Was there something while we were talking that came to mind and you didn't get a chance to share it yet?
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Actually, my oldest kid wanted something from me. I don't know. One
You got
second.
it.
All right. Big problems on the PlayStation front. His game won't work. But yeah. No, man. It was nice being able to talk to you, and you know, I know everyone else is who's gonna listen to this and hear me. Keep supporting Otoshio Thunder, and be seeing you guys on the battlefield.
Guys, definitely go check out Bumzilla. Like I said, I started watching his stuff and I just really like it. Um, Live action gameplay, what's it called? and and his genuine response to events. Obviously, you could probably tell from our conversation that well, really neither one of our channels is really for kids. I like to think of myself as a PG-13 channel, um, at least for this one. I'm not teaching a class here, but there was one thing I wanted to ask you. What's up with the name Bumzilla?
Bumzilla. Okay. This started. It's so silly, but this started when I was really younger. I was like the uh okay. I came up. I was like 16. All right, so forgive me for this. I came up with an idea for a shoe. It was just a joke, but for a shoe called Bum Z 101. So basically, learn how to be a bum 101 shoes. I'd never had fancy shoes when I was a kid. They were always tore up. And I thought of the idea of selling these shoes all tore up already because they're bum shoes, right? Then I got into playing, SOCOM. Remember SOCOM?
Yeah.
On the PlayStation, I got big into SOCOM, playing with my buddies and everything. And my name was Bumzy101. And my buddy came up to me. He's like, "Why don't you change your name to something else?" I'm like what? And they're like, "I don't know, because Bumzy101, no one bums, no one knows exactly what that is." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right." I'm like, "You know what? Why don't I just go Bumzilla?" And they're like, yeah, that's actually pretty cool. So I went Bumzilla.
So Bumzilla, the cartoon character who's always homeless because he destroys every town he goes to.
Bumzilla. But
Well,
yeah,
like,
the 112 is all that. I guess Bumzilla was pretty normal because I can't find every game I go to. I try and put in Bumzilla, and it's like, you can't do this. It's already been taken. So I went with the 112 at the end of it.
I like your little mascot there. Did you draw that, or did you get someone to make that for you?
So let me just say this: the guy who does my channel art, I work with him. He's a phenomenal artist. I'm
I can
telling
see
you,
that.
this guy does so much stuff when it comes to graphic arts. His name, he actually has a YouTube channel. I don't know if it's still sticking around now, but he had like some 10, 11,000 subscribers. Swifty Spade. Um, that's who does all of my channel art, and I can't thank the guy enough because I haven't. I compensated him a little bit. I haven't paid him what he's due. And he doesn't ask for it. He just does it for me. He's like, hey, here, I'm pretty much his guinea pig. Here, check this out. You know that, his, or my, I have that where my logo pops up and my name, does the spinning and all that. He did that for me literally out of the blue. He's like, sent it to me in my Dropbox. Hey, check this out. What do you think of this? I was like, dude, that's fantastic. So I just added a little bit of sound to it and brought it to life a little bit more. And I can't thank the guy enough. He's like all of the art that he does for me. I'm actually setting up an Amazon shop too. I've been asked on multiple occasions to sell merchandise with the logo and everything on there. So I'm going to be opening up an Amazon shop on here pretty soon too, and he's going to be providing the art for it for that as well. The guy's phenomenal. It's
I honestly like your Bumzilla mascot. I would definitely buy a Bumzilla T-shirt.
We it took us a little while to get because we had a first iteration. What was that? A year and a half, 2 years ago. It was a little crude, but not bad at all. It's actually still in my videos now as the watermark in the lower right hand corner. The very first iteration. I'm not ever going to get rid of that. I think it looks. I like it. I'm a nostalgia guy, so that was the very first art he did for me. And it took us a while to figure out exactly what we want to do. I told him, I was like, you know what I want? I want a guy who looks, uh, give me like a bum in a Godzilla costume. And
I love it.
he goes, well, why don't we do this? And we went through a few iterations. I'm like, you know what? That's perfect right there. And then he did this newest one for me here. What was that? About 7 months ago, he put this one together for me.
Well, I gotta say, I think it's a great introduction to the kind of things people are gonna see and hear to see that Bumzilla there. Anyway, I see the little one is like stirring, and she's gonna start the campaign again pretty soon. So I'll have to go back to doing daddy things again. We got the perfect window to get this done, and I think it's not a mere coincidence. It's really been a lot of fun talking with you. I look forward to making this into a video. And before we go, did you have anything else you wanted to share?
No, just thank you for taking the time to talk to me, taking a break from your busy life to listen to what I have to say. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks. I had a good time, and I think that this video will be a great video once I get it finished up. So for everybody back home, go ahead and say goodbye.
Laters. I'll see you all on the battlefield.
All right, guys. Catch you in the next video. Bye bye.